It has colorful labels and smells pretty good, but what's inside these packages is now illegal in the state of Mississippi, thanks to quick action and good coordination along the Mississippi Gulf Coast.
We started seeing spice probably maybe a little over a year ago, and it didn't seem like a big issue at first.
Concern grew as people learned what this substance called spice really was.
Originally, we sat on it for a bit because we didn't really know what it was. We didn't know there was anything to it. We just thought it was some paraphernalia, and it was very difficult to believe initially that what it actually was a substance that was sprayed onto potpourri or some sort of incense. They'd spray it on. It had the same effects, and some law enforcement said it had even stronger effects than marijuana.
Often called synthetic marijuana or K2, the effects of smoking spice are similar to those associated with smoking marijuana and can include rapid heart rate, loss of consciousness, and paranoia, and it is not detectable on drug tests.
First time I started hearing about it, it was actually military people. We have a military base here, and the military were on the issue pretty quick. Then we actually stopped or arrested a couple of street-level marijuana dealers, and they had spice. They had marijuana in one pocket and spice in the other. And that also told us that we had the beginnings of a real problem.
Even though people were smoking spice to get high, it was a legal substance, so there was nothing anyone could really do about it.
The schools had issue with it. They called us. They said, look, kids are using this, they're high, and we can't do random drug tests because it won't show anything, so then we can't send them along the discipline ladder. It's just we don't know what they're doing, but they're high in class. So that was why we started looking at spice.
As word about spice spread, so did the number of stores selling it.
Originally in Jackson County, probably last year there were 3 or 4 stores selling it, and then within the year there were more than 30 stores selling it. One owner realizes they've got a product that sells and they pass it around, and word of mouth by the teenagers goes really quick.
Something needed to be done to protect people, but what?
We expected the state to do something early on. We knew they were going to, but certainly on that level it does take longer to get it done. We wanted to get something in place like the rest of the cities around us. I'm sure they felt the same way we did. They wanted to get something in place quick.
Local ordinances were the answer.
At that time, a city ordinance was the quickest way to shut down the sale of spice in your community, and that's what happened.
But local governments have their limitations. They can't make criminal laws and don't want to pass something that goes too far.
You really need to peel the onion back. You really need to look at what's going to happen when you pass this ordinance, and are things going to happen that you may not want to have as a consequence.
It was important to me in drafting it not to prohibit by listing contents, not to prohibit things that were legal. For example, I didn't want to stop a local pharmacy from selling, you know, a little old lady some drug that she really needed for her medication. So it had to be tailored in a way that it actually addressed the problem and didn't get broader than it needed to be.
After the first few ordinances passed, word spread, and within a few weeks, several cities and counties along the Mississippi Gulf Coast had laws on the books making it a misdemeanor to possess or sell spice.
After that, it was just like a wildfire because my phone started ringing off the hook here. I couldn't even keep up with all the calls from other counties, from coalitions, from cities, from attorneys, from people all over the state wanting a copy of the resolution, the ordinance, and how we did it.
Word started spreading northward, thanks to the Southern Coalition. Basically, a coalition of coalitions working together.
Once you start talking about it, people in other coalitions in other areas of the state were interested in it because they were having the same problems. So you kind of find that no matter where you were in the state, you're having similar problems, and you look at what they've done and how they've done it. And basically, some of our coalitions came for advice and asked, how did you get this done? And they basically fed off each other. And I think that's what made it such a magnitude of getting so many local ordinances passed.
The message made it to state leaders, thanks to help from newspapers and other media, and state politicians took notice.
This drug doesn't stop at city lines or county lines. It has to be statewide. You're spinning your wheels if you think that you can stop it just in your community when they can go to the next community and buy it, because their children are going to go to the next community, buy it, and bring it back home. It has to be a statewide ban on it.
So during a special legislative session about budget issues, a spice resolution came up for a vote.
To be honest, there was not a lot of debate on the floor. Everyone knew it was needed. It passed unanimously through the House, and it was done in probably record time for legislation of this sort.
It also passed the Senate and ended up on the governor's desk.
June the 19th was the date that our Board of Supervisors in Jackson County signed the ordinance banning it. 47 days later, Barber signed a law banning the sale of spice in the state of Mississippi. That's how quick it went.
The speed surprised many of the people involved.
And it's one of a kind, if you think about it, because we have other things we're trying to get passed through legislation that have been in legislation for years that never make it. And so then this comes along and immediately they're saying that there should be no problem with it passing. I think the danger of spice itself and the access of spice is what scared everybody the most. I believe that if you can go in a convenience store and buy it, when you buy a candy bar, there's a problem. And you can take it home and in the comfort of your own home. I think there's a big problem with that, and I think that is what the outrage was.
Now in Mississippi, it's a felony to possess or sell spice, or whatever similar substance comes next.
From my understanding of the state law, it is pretty vague in the chemical additives that are added. It states that these herbal incenses that are smoked for the purpose of becoming high are illegal. And so it allows, if the next one comes along, it will cover it unless it's radically changed.
And even though spice is not totally gone in Mississippi, it's a lot more difficult to find.
Certainly we wanted to stop it from being sold, and we wanted to stop it from being used, and we wanted to make it a crime for you just to be in possession of it. And I think we achieved all that.